The rain was falling hard the night my life shattered all over again. I was sitting in the back of my black SUV, watching the city blur behind bulletproof glass, when something on the sidewalk made my chest tighten. A woman was kneeling under a restaurant awning, holding a cardboard sign that was melting in the rain. I didn't know why my eyes locked on her. I just knew I couldn't look away. The driver had already passed the restaurant when my hand shot forward and grabbed the headrest. I told him to stop. The car stopped so suddenly the vehicle behind us nearly hit us. Voices crackled through the radio, my security team asking what was wrong. I ignored them. My focus was on her. She was wearing a coat too big for her body, hanging off shoulders that looked too thin to carry even that weight. Her hair was tangled and dull, framing a face that felt painfully familiar. But it was the coffee cup in her hands that destroyed me. She wasn't drinking it. She was just holding it, like it was the only thing keeping her alive. I opened the door before anyone could stop me. Rain soaked my suit within seconds as I stepped onto the sidewalk. My shoes splashed through puddles while I walked toward her, every step feeling heavier than the last. She didn't look up until my shadow blocked the restaurant light. When she did, recognition flashed for half a second before turning into pure terror. Her eyes went wide. Her face drained of color. She dropped the coffee cup and scrambled backward, slipping against the brick wall. Her hands shook as she tried to stand, but her legs gave out. "Stay away from me," she whispered. That voice, broken, damaged. It wrapped around my heart and crushed it. "Cecilia," I said. Her name felt strange in my mouth after 3 years of silence. She flinched like I had struck her. She raised one hand in front of her face as if it could protect her from me. "Please," she said, barely louder than the rain. "I did everything you wanted. I stayed away. I didn't tell anyone." The words didn't make sense. None of it did. "I don't understand," I said, crouching in front of her. "Cecilia, what happened to you?" Quote. Her breathing became fast and shallow. Panic overtook her body. Her eyes rolled back, and before I could finish my sentence, she collapsed. I caught her just in time. She weighed almost nothing in my arms. Bones and cold skin wrapped in soaked fabric. This was not the woman I remembered dancing barefoot in our kitchen, laughing while our son clapped his tiny hands. My security team rushed forward. Someone called my private doctor. People stared, phones raised, but one look from me sent them scrambling away. I carried her back to the SUV. As we pulled away, I saw the cardboard sign lying in the rain. "Anything helps. God bless." Rage burned in my chest so violently it made it hard to breathe. Someone had done this to her. Someone had taken my wife and turned her into this. 3 years ago, Cecilia disappeared without a word. She left our home empty. Left our son crying in his crib. I searched for her everywhere. I spent money, favors, power. Nothing. And now she was here. Broken, afraid of me. When we reached my penthouse, the elevator felt too slow. I held her close, watching her face in the mirrored walls. Even unconscious, she looked tense, like her body didn't remember how to rest. My doctor was waiting when the doors opened. He took one look at her, and his expression changed. "She's severely malnourished," he said quietly after examining her. "Dehydrated, infected wounds, possible pneumonia." I laid her on my bed, the silk sheets looking wrong against her dirty clothes. The doctor cut away layers of jackets and shirts. Each one felt like a story of survival I wasn't ready to hear. "How long has she been like this?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. The truth burned worse than any insult. I didn't know anything about the last 3 years of her life. "No hospital," I said when he suggested it. "Treat her here." He nodded. He knew better than to argue. When she woke later that night, she panicked. She tried to pull out the IV, her eyes wild. "You drugged me," she said. "You brought me here to hurt me." I raised my hands again, that same surrender gesture. "You collapsed," I said softly. "I found you in the rain." Quote. She shook her head, tears sliding down her hollow cheeks. "They said you would do this," she whispered. "Who said that?" I asked. She swallowed hard, fear tightening her face. If I came back, if I tried to see him, you would make sure I disappeared forever. My blood ran cold. See who? I asked. Her eyes filled with confusion, like the answer should have been obvious. Felix, she said. Our son's name hit me like a bullet. You think I threatened our child? I asked, my voice breaking despite my effort to stay calm. I know what you're capable of, she said. I thought our family was sacred. I was wrong. I told her to tell me everything. She closed her eyes and started talking like someone reciting a nightmare they had lived too long. It started with photos. Pictures of Felix at the playground, at school, sleeping in his bed. Then letters. Threats. They told her she was making me weak, that my enemies would hurt Felix because of her, that she had to disappear or watch him suffer. They gave her 72 hours. She left everything. Phone, cards, identity. She watched me come home that night and realized she was gone. I lived in shelters, she said. I stayed invisible. I stayed close enough to see him sometimes. I was grateful you didn't recognize me. I felt sick. I'm dying, she said quietly. I just wanted to see him one last time. I promised her she wasn't dying. I promised her I would fix this. She asked me one question before sleep pulled her under. Is Felix okay? I didn't know how to answer without breaking. And that was when I realized something terrifying. Someone close to me had done this, and whoever it was had just declared war on my family. I did not sleep that night. I sat beside Cecilia's bed, watching her chest rise and fall like it might stop if I looked away. The city outside my windows kept moving, lights blinking, cars rushing, people living normal lives while mine had cracked open. Every time she flinched in her sleep, something inside me twisted. She was still afraid, even here, even with me. When the sun came up, my doctor returned with more equipment. He spoke in calm, careful words about her heart, about long-term stress and damage caused by hunger and exposure. He said she could recover, but it would take time, rest, and safety. Safety. The word felt bitter in my mouth. When Cecilia woke again, she looked calmer but guarded. Her eyes followed every movement I made. She studied the room like she was mapping escape routes. I need you to listen to me, she said quietly. If they find out I'm here, they won't hurt me. They'll hurt Felix. Her fear was real, deep, not something imagined. I swear to you, I said, no one will ever touch our son. She searched my face, like she was trying to see past my words and into my soul. Finally, she nodded, but doubt still lived in her eyes. Later that morning, I brought Felix home from school early. I knelt in front of him and told him someone very important was here, someone who loved him more than anything in the world. Is it Mommy? He asked. The way he said it, careful and unsure, nearly broke me. When he saw her standing small and fragile in my bedroom, something changed in his face. He walked to her slowly. He touched her hand like she might disappear if he moved too fast. You're real, he said. She dropped to her knees and pulled him into her arms, sobbing into his hair. Felix hugged her back with all the strength his small body had, like he was afraid to let go. Watching them together felt like being punched and healed at the same time. That night, after Felix fell asleep beside her bed, Cecilia told me everything. The letters, the photos, the threats. She even kept one sewn into the lining of her coat. When I saw it, my blood turned cold. The letter used my family's crest, a symbol only my inner circle had access to. That meant one thing. This betrayal came from inside my own organization. I called an emergency meeting with my top advisors, men I had trusted for years, men who had watched my son grow up. I told them everything. I watched their faces carefully as I spoke. Shock, anger, confusion. But one man stayed too calm. Warren Finch, my closest advisor, the man who had stood beside me since my father died, the man who knew everything. I ordered everyone confined to the building. No phones, no outside contact. I began the investigation immediately. Phone records, financial transfers, surveillance footage from 3 years ago. Every trail led back to Warren. Hidden accounts, burner phones, deleted messages, photos of Felix taken from a distance that made my skin crawl. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. "She made you weak," he said. "I did what was necessary." He admitted he loved her, that he believed she belonged with someone stronger, someone like him. I wanted to kill him where he stood. Instead, I did something he never expected. I turned him over to the police. I let the law handle him. I wanted the world to know what he had done to my wife. I wanted her pain recognized, not buried. The trial tore open wounds Cecilia was still trying to heal. Cameras, reporters, strangers judging her choices. But she stood tall. She told her story in court. Every night on the street, every letter, every fear. The jury listened in silence. When the verdict came back guilty on all charges, Cecilia cried quietly into my shoulder. Not from joy, from release. Warren was sentenced to decades in prison. Justice did not erase the past, but it gave it a name. After the trial, life slowed into something unfamiliar. Healing. Cecilia stayed in the penthouse. She painted again. Slowly, carefully, each canvas holding pieces of pain and hope. Felix stopped hiding food. He stopped asking if she would leave again. And me, I watched my family relearn how to exist. But love is not simple after something like this. We were married by law, but strangers by time and trauma. One evening, Cecilia stood beside me on the terrace. "I can't be the woman I was," she said. "Too much has changed." "I know," I said. "I'm not the man I was either." She looked at me then, really looked at me. "Can we try?" she asked. "Not to go back, but to move forward." I reached for her hand. She let me take it. Slowly, carefully. Below us, the city kept breathing. And for the first time in 3 years, so did I. Trying was harder than either of us expected. Cecilia stayed in the penthouse, but she lived like someone who might be forced to leave at any moment. She kept her shoes by the bed. She flinched at sudden sounds. She checked the locks even though security surrounded us. At night, she woke up shaking from dreams where she was back on the street, clutching that coffee cup, watching Felix from across the road, afraid to breathe too loud. I sat with her through those nights. Sometimes she talked. Sometimes she just needed to know I was there. Felix became our anchor. He followed her everywhere. If she moved from the couch to the kitchen, he moved too. If she sat to paint, he sat beside her with crayons, copying every stroke. He needed proof she was real, that she wasn't leaving again. Cecilia noticed it too. "I broke him," she whispered one night, watching him sleep curled against her side. "No," I said. "Someone broke all of us. We're fixing it together." Therapy became part of our routine. Doctors came and went, nutrition plans, heart monitors. Quiet specialists who spoke gently and never rushed her. Healing wasn't straight. Some days she laughed, really laughed, at something Felix said. Other days she couldn't get out of bed. I learned patience in ways power never taught me. Then the media found us. Photos, headlines, stories twisted into entertainment. Some called her brave. Others questioned why she left, why she didn't tell anyone, why she stayed homeless. Each article reopened wounds. She stopped going near windows. She stopped painting for a while. One night she broke down. "I feel like I'm being punished again," she said, through tears. "Like the world thinks I deserved what happened." I held her while she cried. I wanted to burn every camera in the city. The trial moved forward anyway. When the prosecutor asked if she wanted to testify, Cecilia surprised me. "I want him to hear me," she said. "I want him to see what he did." The day she took the stand, the courtroom was silent. She spoke clearly, even when her voice shook. She told them about the letters, the photos, the nights sleeping on concrete, the hunger that hurt so bad it made her dizzy. She told them she chose homelessness because she believed it was the only way to keep her son alive. I watched jurors wipe their eyes. I watched Warren refuse to look at her. When the guilty verdict was read, Cecilia didn't smile. She closed her eyes and breathed like someone finally allowed to rest. After sentencing, something inside her shifted. Not healed, but lighter. Felix noticed first. Mommy smiles more. He told me one morning like it was an important discovery. She did. She started painting again. Dark colors at first. Storms. Streets. Then, slowly, light crept back into her work. Blues. Golds. Faces that looked hopeful. I rebuilt parts of my organization too. People who believed family was weakness left. Others stayed. Younger ones. Parents. People who understood what was at stake. I didn't care about being feared anymore. I cared about being right. One evening, months later, Felix had his first sleepover. When the door closed behind him, the penthouse felt strangely quiet. Cecilia and I stood on the terrace, watching the city lights. "I don't know what we are yet," she said, "and I'm scared to promise anything." "So am I admitted, "but I know I don't want to lose you again." She looked at me, really looked at me. "I can't love the way I used to," she said. "I'm different now." "I don't want the past," I said. "I want now." She reached for my hand. Her fingers trembled, but she didn't pull away. That night, we didn't rush. We talked. About fear, about guilt, about the years we lost. We slept in the same bed for the first time since she vanished, with space between us, like learning how to share again. In the morning, she was still there. That felt like a miracle. But healing has a cost. One afternoon, her doctor told us the truth about her body, about damage that couldn't be undone, about the chance she might never have another child. I watched her face collapse inward. "I took everything from myself," she said later, sitting alone in the studio. "You protected our son," I said. "That was never nothing." She cried quietly, not loud, not dramatic, just grief finally allowed to exist. Felix burst in later, holding a drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands. "That's us," he said proudly. She laughed through tears and hugged him like he was the reason the world still made sense. Watching them, I knew something. Love wasn't gone. It was just different. Stronger in some ways, more fragile in others, and still fighting to survive. The anniversary came quietly. No rain, no cameras. Just a soft evening breeze and a sky painted in fading gold. I didn't tell Cecilia where we were going until we arrived. When the car stopped, she looked up and froze. The restaurant was the same. The awning was the same. The sidewalk looked ordinary now, clean and dry, like nothing terrible had ever happened there. Her hand tightened around mine. "This is where you found me," she said. "Yes," I replied. "This is where I got you back." Felix jumped out of the car first, full of energy, unaware of the weight the place carried. He spun in a circle and laughed. "It smells like food," he announced. "Good food." Quote, Cecilia smiled at him, but her eyes were wet. We went inside. The staff recognized us but said nothing. Discretion had become a gift we valued more than luxury. We were seated at a quiet table near the window. Felix climbed into his chair and immediately started talking about his art show at school and how his teacher said he was very creative, just like Mommy. Cecilia listened like every word mattered, because to her it did. At one point, Felix excused himself to go to the bathroom with a waiter guiding him. Silence settled between us. "I used to think this place would always haunt me," Cecilia said softly, "but now it feels different." "How?" I asked. "Like a turning point," she said. "Like the worst moment also gave me my life back." I reached across the table and took her hand. She didn't hesitate this time. After dinner, we stepped outside. Cecilia looked at the exact spot where she had knelt a year ago. She closed her eyes and took a slow breath. "I don't feel afraid anymore," she said. "Not here." That mattered more than she knew. Life didn't magically become perfect after that. Healing never works that way. Some nights she still woke from nightmares. Some days Felix needed extra reassurance. Some days I struggled with guilt that no amount of justice could erase. But we kept choosing each other. Cecilia's art returned fully. Not just pain anymore, but strength, survival. Mothers holding children under stormy skies. Light breaking through darkness. People started asking to buy her work. She agreed, but only on her terms. Felix grew taller, louder, happier. He stopped asking if she would leave. He stopped checking the door at night. One evening, while helping him with homework, he looked up at us both. "You guys smile more now," he said. "Like before." Cecilia and I shared a look. "Maybe different," she said gently. "Different is okay," Felix replied. "Different can still be good." I had never been more proud of him. Months later, on a quiet Sunday morning, Cecilia found me in the kitchen making coffee. She watched me for a long moment before speaking. "I talked to Dr. Tanaka," she said, "about the future, about fear." "And?" I asked. "She said fear doesn't disappear," Cecilia said. "It just stops being in control." She stepped closer. "I want to choose us," she said, "not because we were married, not because of the past, but because I want this life, with you, with Felix." My chest tightened. "I don't want promises that trap you," I said. "I want honesty." "This is honest," she replied. "I love you, not the way I did before, but the way I can now. And I want to keep building." I pulled her into my arms slowly, giving her space to pull away if she needed to. She didn't. Felix ran in moments later, skidding to a stop when he saw us hugging. "Oh," he said seriously, "is this a grown-up moment?" Cecilia laughed and pulled him into the embrace. "It's a family moment," she said. That night, after Felix fell asleep, Cecilia stood by the window, looking out at the city. The same city that once swallowed her whole. "I used to think surviving meant being invisible," she said. "Now I know it means being seen." "You were never weak," I said. "You were brave in ways I didn't understand." She turned to me. "And you didn't break when I disappeared," she said. "You waited, you searched, you didn't replace me. That matters." We stood there together, scars and all. Love didn't save us, choice did. Choice to stay, to heal, to forgive. To try again without pretending the past never happened. A year later, we returned to that restaurant once more. This time, Felix walked between us, holding both our hands. "This is my favorite place," he said. "Why?" Cecilia asked. "Because this is where our family came back together," he replied. She cried. I did too. And as we walked inside, I realized something simple and powerful. I didn't just find my ex-wife that night in the rain. I found my way back to the life that mattered most.